Barbara wants a developer to look at Methodist Hill. And Rob has found one. And he says, just let me know the date and time of the meetings you would like at him, and I will extend the invitation. And I suspect it will be here. The other piece of business we need is, I thought we could put him on the next meeting, and Ed Morris says, no, we can't. So, it's the Master Planning Task Force and the Upper Valley Land Trust, but I don't see why Jim Kelleher couldn't talk to whether Ed Morris says he can or can't. What do you guys think?
This is the developer you're talking about, right?
Yeah,
And looking at the, you know, way things are going, I would say we try to fit it in, and if we have to have the late, you know, have the meeting go a little later.
well, that's the way, that's what I
I
think.
would prefer that.
Does everybody think that?
I would.
Good. Can I have a vote? Shall we invite Jim Kelleher to the October 17th meeting? All in favor, say aye.
Wait, hold up. Ed said no to that, and we're going against Ed?
Yes, I'm the chair. He's our employee.
He's my boss.
Well, you can say no. It's still 4-1.
Other options,
Well,
we could,
what are we gonna do about November 7th, which is election day? We could have our meeting at 7 o'clock after the polls close. We could have no meeting. I probably at 5:30 wouldn't go well.
but the 21st.
It's November 7th. Election day.
Could we have, this person come talk at a later meeting with the public?
We could have them come, yeah, at the public meeting. I don't think so, can we?
Why not?
I don't know.
What if
It
the
says
public is
public
like this?
meeting. There's the public.
Right, so it could be a very short meeting. It may actually make sense to bring a developer to that meeting, because it'll be plenty of time
What do you think, guys?
That's true. I don't expect the public meeting
to be
hard
much
to
different.
say, but,
Well, I expect Barbara Patch will be
That also
here.
gives us some time to reflect, Ed.
And the Hinshaws.
Yeah,
So maybe tentative,
yeah.
can we say tentative?
I can let you guys know that when we had the public hearing on Johnston property, we had about 50 to 60 people show up.
So that's not a good time
But
for
do you
Jim
think it'll be
Keller.
anything similar to that?
And the other
Is there any
thing,
reason to think?
well, the thing Ed Morris suggested was we add a meeting. We have him instead of deliberation. We do our deliberating on December 19th and we meet in January.
I guess I don't understand what's gonna happen at the public meeting. Where if we haven't even come up with a recommendation for the,
I think, well, because our task is to collect information. And what we'll do is we'll ask everybody in the public if they want to speak, and if there's 50 people, we'll be here till midnight.
I'm green in this. I don't know what would happen at a public meeting where there's a property.
A lot of your public meetings are going to be the public coming in who have no clue what it's about. They're not willing to read the or the minutes and whatnot, so they're gonna come and be like, well, what's this about? What's everyone wanting? What's the thing? So it's gonna be quite a bit of reiterating what we've already talked about, what we've already said.
Okay.
Just so everyone in the rooms, you know, and then people will form their opinions after they hear a few people. They'll start to stand up. They'll start to say, hey, you know, maybe this is my idea. This is my idea. Some of them might be super outlandish. They want a water park or something crazy.
Okay, so at this point in time, it's just to hear, we've heard from the abutters, now it's to hear from the public.
Yeah, so just like what we're
What
doing.
they would recommend or like to see happen to the public.
Yeah,
I think that Jim Kelleher won't take more than 5 or 10 minutes, and that putting him in on October 17th makes good sense, but.
I don't know why did Ed give a reason for saying no?
No. He didn't give me a good reason for saying no. He says it's master planning task force and who are they? It's the Master Planning Task Force and the Upper Valley Land Trust. I have land in the land trust. I expect Jason Berard will come and talk for a few minutes about conservation, and that will be fine.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a full plate full. On
It doesn't to me.
the 17th.
I'd like to say that we asked Mr. Kelleher for the 17th. That the committee thinks it's a good idea and, he isn't God. He's your boss. You can say it was 4-1,
Do whatever you want.
but that's what I want. I would like to ask him for the 17th. And I don't know what we're gonna do about election day. So,
Do you know how to spell Jim's last name? Jim.
Kelleher. Kelleher.
You're good, I got it.
Were you able to
Yeah.
get the minutes for later?
I can't get him to print. But they've been posted since the meeting. On the towns, on the Mascoma or the.
Well,
Methodist
if you can put them up so
Yeah.
people can see them the way they're spelled, that's the way it is. Okay, that's enough of that sort of business. Let's go on with conservation and recreation. Kevin, do you want to speak first? Or do you want conservation to speak first?
Don't think you have anyone from either.
No, I thought Dr. Tice would come, didn't you? Kurt, you know anything?
He's not conservation,
More conservation.
and I can't really
Was they
speak,
directly notified?
and I can't speak on the behalf of Recreation Commission because I'm technically not part of the board, but I am part of the board. It's they're my advisory, but I'm not, they're their own thing. It's really confusing, but I can't technically be on their board because it's a conflict of interest, because it directly relates to mine. So if they wanted to give me a raise, they could go through and say, hey, we think that, so I can't be on the board, so I really probably shouldn't speak for them.
Well, but who's gonna if you don't? Do they have any thoughts? Have they
Were
talked
they
about this?
invited? Because I know Nate invited all the committees last time as the chair.
I wasn't, I've been told not to do that.
I mean, I can tell you what the Recreation Commission wants to do. They want to sell what can be developed, and with what can be developed and sold, which from what it sounds like,
5 lots across the front.
yep. So their suggestion is to develop and sell those 5 across the front, keep what cannot be developed. And with the money used when the land is sold, take that money and then invest it back into the property into recreational development. So if we're going to put trails and stuff, we're probably gonna wanna get a trail master or someone out here so they can check out the land, see what we can do with the land. So it's ultimately gonna cost money to get them out there and get the recreation on it developed. So they wanted to suggest that whatever money is made when selling the 5 lots across the front, that be put right back into developing of trail systems. And they were thinking that this land would be perfect for mountain biking trails, hiking trails, cross-country skiing trails, snowshoeing trails. Just develop it somewhere where it's can be a trail system, because Enfield really
We
doesn't
could
have
get
it.
John Morton to come and talk.
But that was what we were looking at as a for the commission.
So that's in the minutes now because it's recorded.
Mhm.
Comments? Complaints, outcries of pain and rage.
It sounds like they've put a lot of thought into what they might do.
They really liked the idea of how Johnson property was done, because there were 4 lots for the Johnson property. And they liked the idea of selling the 1 lot where the house could be kept and sold and used. It's also gonna bring a little bit more money. And they like the idea of selling things and also keeping some of it. So then you kind of, everyone gets a win-win because there's people that want it sold to bring the income into the town. And then there are people that want to keep things. So if you sell a little bit, keep a little bit, then you're kind of making a little bit of everyone happy. And if you're developing it in something and using the money you used to sell, then it only, it's not your taxpayers' money going into developing it.
It's my understanding though, we can't do that, right?
I have no idea. That's just what their idea was. They came up with it.
It's my understanding from our previous meetings, that any money we get from selling it above and beyond what was owed on the taxes has to go back to the original owner.
Yeah, and I don't know what, I know Ed has discussed this with a few people in the committee. That's why the idea was kind of brought up. So I don't know what Ed knows that, he knows all those fine print.
Well, Jason's right about whatever you sell it for goes back to the beyond what the taxes were owed.
Go back
goes
to the-
back
yeah.
to the,
But couldn't, I mean, I think, okay, so you can only sell it for what's owed for taxes, right?
No, I think you can sell it for whatever you want.
No,
Yeah.
I thought.
Yeah,
you
I
can sell it for whatever you want, but anything over what is owed on taxes has to be given back to the previous owner. So if they only owed
I
like
don't
20,000.
think that's correct.
yeah, it is, isn't it?
Point of
Kurt?
order. There's partially correct is what you're saying. There's time limits when after X amount of years, or prior to X amount of years, what you're saying is correct. But if the town holds the property for X amount of years, and I don't know what the number of years are, then the town can sell it, keep it, straight out keep it, sell it for whatever they want and keep on 100% of the money. There is a time limit on when the money, any extra money goes back to the previous owners.
So how long has the town
Yeah.
owned this piece of
Yeah, that I
property?
don't know.
Does anybody
and-
know?
I'm confused. Wasn't the purpose of tonight's meeting though to have recreation come talk to us
Yeah,
And conservation.
and conservation? So
yeah.
we should really hear from them. Maybe a little more detail, kind of what you're describing. So I don't know how we make that happen, but
Yeah,
so maybe we kind of this kind of pushes our whole meeting schedule back another 2 weeks if we have to reschedule this meeting. I don't know how we can accomplish a lot without having the representatives from recreation and conservation come talk to
Well,
us.
if they didn't,
That's the purpose of, right? I
if
mean,
they
otherwise
didn't,
it's sort of second,
if they didn't come,
otherwise it's sort of
Dr.
second.
Tice was here and he knew, he had the list of when the meetings were.
Yeah,
yeah, and Ed didn't send me anything about saying to reach out to these groups, so I don't know if he was supposed to. I know in our last property use committee, that was the chairs. That
I
was the whole
well,
reason for the
You
chair.
heard him tell me, keep my hands off.
sounds like they've got a lot of thought put into it. It'd be great to hear from them.
Right,
They
so
have a plan,
so.
right? They
I would think maybe the money they're talking about is, because this letter we have from the town manager says that there's somewhere between 44 and 50 grand that would come in back taxes. So maybe that's the money, pool of money that maybe conservation and rec can use to develop the trail system.
They should explain that to us though,
Right,
right?
no, I know, I think with this, so I think that,
But
yeah,
that
we
makes
need to,
sense.
we need to get
Yeah.
clarification on that for sure.
Yep, but that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense.
I wouldn't think they'd propose something that wasn't feasible, but let them explain that.
Right,
In
and I'm
more
thinking
detail,
that, that could be also what we recommend, if we sell part of it, use those tax dollars for the sole purpose of developing the land for recreation use. Put a stipulation there, if we can, and I would think we'd be able to do that.
They should be able to spell out for us exactly what they're
Yeah, yeah.
envisioning. Sounds like they've given it thought. 4 or 5 lots, R5 zoning.
Yeah, cause it would just be the front half of the property and it wouldn't. If I'm correct, I don't think it goes. I don't know the exact, but I don't think it goes all the way to the road, so I think it leaves over half of it still undeveloped.
Well, it's 5 acre zoning and Rob said we could have 5 or 6 lots along the road.
Yeah, it's, I think,
And so it's 100 acres. So if you take off a stripe of 25 acres, you're leaving 75 acres, right? Is that right?
Yeah.
I'm terrible at math.
no, you're right. 5 times 5 is 25 minus 100 is 75.
And it all depends on the geometry of the lots and the frontage on the road too.
And it has to have, well, because each lot has to have 250 feet on the road. So I would think we'd have 5 pieces. And they'd each be 5 acres,
I think they
but it's,
probably have mapped this out. It
it's,
sounds like they,
I think Rob did, it's an odd shape. I mean,
From my understanding. I'll pull up the map so I can.
Tax maps, they're very questionable as far as,
Yeah, I mean, it'll just give a. Idea though.
I same field.
Extrapolate.
and if they've already mapped out some form of development, why do we need a developer? Talk to us. If they've already gone through that process.
Because Barbara insisted at the last meeting that we talk to a developer,
But she didn't hear this part of the conversation. She was here for this.
but she isn't here for this. And Jim Kelleher will come and Rob will get him to come and bring him.
Yeah.
Rob's a real good ally. So, who knows? I didn't know she wasn't coming.
It just seems maybe there were some.
Okay, well, it's not loading, but I can walk over to Michelle. So from what I understand, what I've been told by Rob Taylor, and it's really only this little piece right here that could be sold off, because that's where all the logging stuff and everything was. I can't remember the exact terminology for the spot where they came down and it was like their hub area. But that's, as I was
But
explaining.
that's the piece of land right there.
Yeah, and that was the only place that would be developable because all the others falls into the grade. Like a certain grade, it can't go past
Well,
for development.
it isn't too steep, but there's a ravine and the thought was that building further up from the road, other lots up further from the road, would be too expensive to get to by the time you built roads and things. That I think is what was said, is it would be too expensive to have a second layer of lots beyond the road because of the cost of water, sewer, and roads. I think that's what was said,
So
wasn't
I
it?
think it'd be helpful to hear from them. Are they saying, what are they saying, south of this McAllister Road, or are they
Yeah,
saying?
they said it's really from what Rob and Ed have kind of talked about and I got pulled into, it kind of just sounds like it's just this corner right here that's really developable because it's the flattest part of the property.
But I think they said that they would be along Methodist Hill. The other thing I know about Jim Kelleher, because Rob told me today, is that he was part of the developer of Birch Lane, and he owns a lot and he's gonna build a spec house on it, so talking to Jim Kelleher would be a good idea.
Yeah, I don't know Ed's reason why he said that we can't have him come. I don't know. I'm not involved in that.
Well, be nice if he was here tonight, wouldn't it?
doing a little bit of other things that are kind of important to the town, so.
Yeah. But it would leave a 75-acre odd-shaped piece if we took
Yeah.
the 5 lots off the front.
Yeah, and I think they were more talking about getting like up here and developing trails up into this part. They would like to know though, because they are in the understanding of it being a wet marsh area and it's pretty wet back in there.
Yeah,
So it would, that would be also another determining factor. But that would be what the select board would then probably go and do and decide on. Because we're just,
our job is to just give them information, so.
So would recreation also be able to give us an idea of if that plan for trails is contingent on the funds from the sale of part of the property, or is there a pot of money that they allocate for recreation development like that? Like,
they don't do anything with the money. This was just their brainstorming
Okay.
idea,
okay,
if you will. Because they at first didn't know where to start because this committee is nothing like the previous committee they were involved in. I mean, when the Valley News ran with Johnson Property being the new beach in town without anyone actually announcing that it was the new beach in town, that kind of fueled more than what this one's being. I mean, honestly, I don't think a lot of people in town even know about this being brought up. So that's why I think your public meetings are gonna be a lot of just repeating what we've been saying.
Yeah.
So then the town knows, the community knows, and they can. But their,
There's nobody on Microsoft Teams tonight, is there?
no, I don't have any.
No. Well,
one could also make the argument that the flatter portion that's more developable for homes would also be a more favorable location for recreation. So there is that point. I would just make that point as well. You can't easily snowshoe down a ravine. At least I wouldn't want to do that. Um,
not without ski
So
poles.
that's why I'm kind of curious if that recreational plan is contingent on the sale, the recoup back taxes on this, or if there is still the potential for recreational development there, even without splitting the parcel up into
I
pieces.
think if it was to go and just be developed without any money, it would have to be something that would of course go in front of the CIP and the
Yeah.
planning board.
CIP.
It's a pot of money for big expenses.
Basically, the money that is not spent throughout the budget goes into a pool and then they decide what they want to do with it.
They buy
And-
trucks.
Our new fire truck was a CIP.
Yeah.
Is that part of the master planning task force?
No, CIP is their own entity, own committee,
Okay.
and they're not even part of the budget committee. That's all.
Although trail development, like cross-country skiing or snowshoeing is relatively low intensity. Almost volunteer army to kind of bushwhack a trail or, it's not like you need the cost of a truck to go, develop
Well,
that, so.
the Henshaw said that if they
Get a Boy
bought
Scout
it,
troop out there.
we got 2 people that wanna buy it. The Henshaws wanna buy it and Patches wanna buy it. And the Henshaws said that they would open it to the public and put in nature trails. Whether they will or not, but that's what she said at that meeting. And, Mrs. Patch said that they would turn it into a sugar bush. That they would take out the junk wood and turn it into a sugar bush.
Yep.
So those are 2 things that are on the table. The recreation committee thinks that if they could get a pot of money, they could develop it for recreation and that there could be some development. That's as far as I think we've gotten, isn't it? Have we gotten any further than that?
I don't think so.
Mr. Vinko, Mr. Drinkwater, anything you want to say tonight?
I do have a procedural question which will come after this.
How about you, Kurt?
Yeah, I got a whole list. Wow. I mean, procedural one, go ahead, because I got a bunch of questions and comments.
Go ahead.
You asked him for, oh,
Well, he yielded to you, so
okay. All right, yeah, one of my, no, yeah, my first one was the 5 lots along the front, you mostly answered what I think of what you, know. They were looking at from the Class 6 road up the slope, uphill of the road as the area. I have to look up what I don't remember off the top of my head what the road frontage requirement is. I think
it's 250 feet.
It's 250 feet.
It's 250 feet
Okay, I gotta mark off and.
and it's 5 acre zoning.
So that would determine how far back those lots would go. Newly created lots would be, width, but yeah. Has anybody on the committee actually walked the property?
Not all of it.
Internally, not just the road frontage, but internally?
Yeah, I didn't get the whole property. I probably got, from the Class 6 road, that whole section to the uphill.
Yeah.
And then a little bit beyond.
Okay.
So about half the properties I've walked.
I did the same thing yesterday. I walked, down the Class 6 roads. I was there years ago and it was nothing like it is now. I don't know if it just hasn't dried out from the summer rains or what.
It's a lot of that this year, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, when I walked it years ago, that whole area, all those Class 6 roads, it was high and dry. It was a very easy walk. It was open, you could see what you were doing. It was like just walking down a regular trail. Today it was, my boots were getting mucky. I wasn't sinking real deep, but it was definitely muck and a lot of weeds and brambles and whatnot. So the snowmobilists haven't used it for a while. It looked like,
What was the name of the guy that came and talked to us?
Alan Strickland.
Who? Strickland, yeah.
yes,
Alan Strickland walked it. And you said you go up along Hinshaw's and then there's marks across the back. And then you come down the ravine in the creek and it brings you down to the Callister Road and you can get back.
okay, well, you might have done the perimeter. I went down the Class 6 road as far as the town line. And then I started going upslope. I actually lost my way back. I missed the trail somehow because I couldn't see it any longer. Picked up another trail, ended up on the abutting property. They have a real nice trail that parallels the property line. There's a stone wall there. But it's on their property, the one with the big house, big expensive house. So then, as we were saying, that whole up road section is pretty high and dry. And I saw what appeared to be, it was either a log landing at one time, there was logging, but it's been a while since that lot has been logged. The stumps were pretty old. Well, they were there, but they were pretty well soft, rotten soft, so at least 20, 30 years. Was the last time that anybody did any cutting in there. But it looked like it was either log landing that somebody might have wanted to turn into a house lot, because it was like that size, because it was right on the roads. And it's actually the place where if you want to park your car, there's a slight pullout. You get your tires off the roads, off the pavements, and the log landing was right there. That's why I ended up parking. And then I walked down Methodist Hill Road and I found what I believed to be, there was no pin, but there was a stone wall. And it measured out to approximately what the size would be, on the downslope of, and it's almost where on the development on the other side of the road, that's turnarounds. It's right about in that area, a little bit, maybe a little bit lower.
Well,
Because
there's
you
a
can still see the
foundation in
field, you
there.
can still see their field
Yeah, there's a foundation in there, a really old one,
where,
along the road there.
well, anyway, so I have not watched the downhill side of the Class 6 roads, sort of the largest section there, so I don't know what's in back there. I don't know how much it really slopes. But I think that area is, at least the road frontage, from what I could see looking into the trees. I didn't see any real issues with development there either. I'm not in favor of any development personally, but to say it's only above the higher section is only the developable area, I think is a bit misleading.
No, they're saying that the road is the only develop, along Methodist Hill Road is
Right,
the
right,
only
but say,
developable
The
place.
Kevin-
Essex Road,
Kevin, can you
Going up
bring up
the-
the topography map? I think there was a way to do that. I think
Shows
that'll
up.
show you the grading,
yeah,
and
Yeah, I know
it
it
is,
shows up in the
steeper
assessment.
than you didn't
Yeah.
see it.
It falls off.
yeah, it's,
It's off.
yeah, like, so I haven't walked that
See the
area.
purple squiggles?
Yeah, I haven't, yeah,
That's very
steep,
very
steep
steep.
there.
Yeah, it's pretty steep.
Yeah,
And that's all downhill of the class 6 road.
yeah,
So,
well, it's, I mean, your house only needs so many square footage.
true.
Your lot can be as long as you want it to be. It's just where the house sits, your septic sits. That's your more level area you want. But, no, so that's on that. I tried to find a deed description of this property. The deed that the town lists is like several, and they make reference to another deed. But when you look up that deed number, that book and page number, nothing comes up. So, and they make two references, one to a deeds that doesn't show up in the Grafton County deeds, but it makes reference to probate. So I don't know if probate has their own set of deeds.
No, I know that, they do not.
Okay. And then it makes reference to a plat that was done in the 1850s or 70s or something like that, way back. And that's the only reference. So I mean, it says 100 acres plus or minus whatnot. But without a deed description or a survey plat, you're just guessing. And that's something that would need to be done.
But then we have talked about a survey.
Yeah.
But that,
Any developments,
but that's not this committee's job.
no, I'm just saying if,
But there will have to be a survey before it's sold, developed, divided, anything happens to it.
yeah, I
There
just
will
wonder if
have
you
to
folks
be
had
a
anything
survey,
that I
yeah.
wasn't able to locate. But you don't have. any-
That's not our job. Our job is just to gather information
Okay,
and present it to the select board
okay,
with some ideas about what we think might be an appropriate use of the land. But we can't make any decisions about it. And we can't tell them what to do.
no, I understand that, I was just wondering, if you had some paperwork that wasn't able to locate. No,
No, we don't have anything.
okay,
Just we have is people to talk to.
I got one other sort of comment, I guess. I personally in favor of keeping it as is. Don't develop it for house lots, for multiple reasons. It just, long-term, it's gonna be add expense to the town for services. And the master plan talked about keeping the rural parts of the town rural. This is a very rural part of the town. It's the furthest that the fire department and the police department and ambulance service has to go to service Enfield residents. Short of the top of the Methodist Hill, which is another couple hundred feet. So just for that sake alone, having excess development out there is not good long-term planning. And then it's, I mean, money that the town will receive, you get, okay, if they sell them at market value, there's a one-time income that the town receives, but the taxes, unless they're not gonna build affordable housing. Anybody that builds out there is gonna be similar to the houses that have recently been built in the last 10 years, which is what's across the road in that mega house that's a Butsy.
Well, while you were traveling across the country, there was a lot of discussion about that. At our last meeting, there was considerable discussion about that.
I know, but it's,
That Methodist Hill, people speed like crazy and, it's a bumpity old road and,
you know, I,
so
I'm on
forth
the
and
planning
so
board
on.
and people say that about every road they live on. You can pick any road in town, people that live there will have the same complaints. So
Oh,
that's
I'm
just-
complaining
yeah.
about Depot Street. I mean, you know.
And far as recreational use, far as investing money into that, that's not necessary. I don't know what the recreational committee is thinking of putting in groomed skiing trails or something of that nature, where you would have to spend money to do something. The Conservation Commission in the past has done, a number of years ago, they did the Bicknell Brook Trail. And that was all volunteer labor. The town was a town-owned lot. They acquired for back taxes 20, 30 years ago. They created a really nice walking trail on it. And then they recently, within the last, I think maybe 5 years, did the Harrisbrook parking. And the Conservation Commission spent some of their own money to create a really nice parking lot there, and then created the trail around the ponds with volunteer labor. So something like that could very easily be done on this lot, or you can just leave it as just a nice open area to go bushwhacking and hunting for people that like to go hunting. The only money that I would see spending is creating a parking area in that area where there was the log landing / house, potential house site. It's a perfect place to just open it back up. It's not even saplings in there. It's just brush. You know, with the weed whacker, and you could go right in. And so I think they put down gravel. It looked like gravel was dumped down for the trucks that were using it. So yeah, that could just be your parking area.
I mean, do you have other questions?
Sure. Am I other person? Yeah.
Do you have other
Oh,
questions?
I think that was it.
Okay, well, thank you. Mr. Vinko, anything to say tonight?
Already seen.
No, the minutes were accurate
No, I didn't see
description
this.
that read off last week. So
Keep copies. I thought.
I'm very happy with the minutes.
Mr. Drinkwater?
It's rare that I disagree with Paul. I did, as a procedural matter, I was wondering how the committee would like to
It's on
handle
the town.
suggested changes, for example.
I didn't hear what you said.
Change the minutes.
How would you like suggestions for minutes revisions to come? To you directly, to the committee directly, or to Ed?
Well, I expect Mr. Morris wants them, but the minutes he sent a draft minute. And he had the wrong names on it, and I suggested that he might wanna fix
What
that
names
before they
are-
became public.
What names are wrong, so I can fix them.
It should be Hinshaw, Hinshaw, not Hernshaw. And it should be Moreberry, Morbury.
Still on Hinshaw.
Oh,
Let's step back. How do you spell Hinshaw again?
Hinshaw.
I think as a procedural matter for the committee's time, if we know how to direct spelling changes out of necessity or
Well,
corrections.
I've been a language
Then
teacher
we
for
could
100 years, and if you direct them to me, I will put them there and bring them up at the meeting. It's fine. You got my email, haven't you? RoaringCreekFarm@gmail.com.
What was the Newberry one now?
The other one is Moreberry, Morbury.
And what was the first name on that?
I thought it was Margaret, but he thinks it's Gina, Gina.
Okay, hold on, I got the wrong.
No,
It was up there, so I just assumed it's.
Sheena's last name is Henshaw.
it's
Hinshaw.
Gene Hinshaw.
That's the couple that lives down there on
Yeah, but that's not the Moreberry.
no,
That's
Moreberry. Moreberry is the lady that was complaining about the water coming down from Birch Lane onto her lot.
It's not even Moreberry, it's
Well,
Norberry.
right now, currently it's Peggy Newberry.
I got it. So that
Currently
one's
it's Peggy
changed.
Newberry.
That one's changed.
Yeah.
But it was Mrs. Moreberry that was here.
Well, if
Norberry.
I think all you have to do is go to
Hey,
the lot.
It's Norbury. It's
You can
right,
go-
it's right here.
Right, you can go to her lot, because I can show you which lot it is.
Yeah, it's this one right here.
Yeah, so you
Yeah.
can bring that
Well,
up,
whatever it
Yep, and
is,
and it's right here.
oh,
yeah.
good,
that's who it is.
but
Yep.
it wasn't Newberry. I knew it wasn't Newberry.
Right,
I know that the Hinshells had some other suggestions to the minutes.
Yes, they did.
And as I did, and I asked them to submit them to Ed Morris, and I sent.
If you send them to me, what we'll do is postpone the September 19th meetings until the next meeting. And then we will go over them, and if you'll submit them to me, that would be fine.
I can change them right now as I am changing them right now.
You wanna make changes now? Okay,
I
that's
am,
fine.
I am making them right now. What
That's
are
fine,
the
go
other-
ahead, Harrison.
Yeah,
Help
cause this is,
Evan.
cause when,
I can't speak for the Hinshells.
so when there's issues with meeting minutes, what we do is we post the draft minutes, which are allowed to have mistakes, but then when issues are found in them, you bring them to the next meeting, someone goes, hey, we'd like to approve the meeting minutes, and if someone's like, oh, no, I got this mistake, it needs fixed, and then we can fix it, so.
Right, and that's what I'm trying to help us understand is that we had submitted to Ed,
Oh, yeah, and I have no clue,
right,
that man is anywhere and everywhere all the time, so.
sure.
Uh,
So
it's-
I guess what I'm hearing is, to your point, there's another avenue to make sure.
Yeah, just bring 'em
it's
here.
covered.
Well, what Mr. Morris seems to think is that once the draft minutes are out there, that nothing can happen until the meeting, but that's just not true. You
That's
can,
correct.
you can, and names, that's a glaring error, and I don't want them out in public. I want them correct when it's out in public.
They can't be changed or approved unless the
And
committee
then,
is
but
present.
the changes, once they're approved,
Yeah, then,
they're done, they're engraved. But up until then, they can be fixed. And they
As
should
long
be
as the
fixed when
committee-
it's a name. The only thing I thought that could be a problem for us publicly is that the names must be correct. And Harrison, if you wanna tell Kevin right now what things you want added, go right ahead, because we haven't voted.
I had one more suggestion, but as I said, there's another party who submitted their changes, and I don't have that in front of me right now. If the goal is to approve the minutes tonight, I can only speak for the two things.
I don't think we should. I think we should wait till Mr. Morris is here. I think we should, agree to postpone discussing and approving the minutes of September 19th until we're all here. And
Yeah, can we make I'll make a motion that Ed reviews the changes in addition to the comments that have been sent to him and update the draft
So-
accordingly.
So here's what I'm trying to explain, not being able to explain. Changes can't be made to the minutes unless the committee is present. That's why when you send things to Ed, he can't change them because the committee is not present. Once the committee is present,
no, that's.
we can then fix them and then go through and say, hey, did anyone else know anything wrong? That's when we can vote on it. It's totally fine. I'm okay with not
We
getting
do
the
it, we
minutes
do
in.
it on the CBA all the time. I mean,
So,
that's just, you can fix things until it's voted on. And it doesn't have to be in the committee. What I hope is that your changes will get to Mr. Morris and he will send out another set of draft minutes for September 19th to everybody, because we don't have them in front of us.
all right, so Kevin, are you saying that it can't be done that way? Then at the next meeting,
No, it can, so Susan, what you're trying to say, I understand what you're trying to say, and I'm not arguing against you or trying to put you in any bad spot. You can change them. how it's supposed to run, the policy of running a meeting is, Ryan, you're allowed to make changes on minutes, but when you make the changes, bring them so we can change them on the official one. And then we can vote on that. I'm not saying that you can't change it throughout and like correct it and then bring your changes. But we can't go in and change the draft minutes once they're posted unless it's then, because we have to keep that document original, from my understanding. So once it goes to the town website where it says draft minutes, it can't be changed once that's posted, because then if things start changing and people are going in and using those minutes to say they're coming to our meeting to say, hey, you know, I saw in the draft minutes that it said this, but now I can't find it. It just eliminates that confusion. So then all the changes are made at once. That's what I'm just.
Do what you will. I think, I. Never mind. We will, you move that we will move the September 19th minutes to the next meeting, right, Tom?
Yeah, and at that meeting, if Ed can bring the changes that have been sent to him, we'll all have them in front of us and we can all review them and agree that those get incorporated into the final.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm not arguing anything against you, Susan. You're getting upset and I don't think there's any reason.
No, I've run meetings for years. And we work on the draft minutes at the ZBA and we fix them. Everybody brings their stuff. But we need the stuff printed. We need the suggestions written out.
Yep, and minutes were posted.
No, we need Mr. Drinkwater's changes written so that they can be incorporated. Can you do that?
I've already done it with Ed, so yes, I can
Okay.
send a copy along to, directly to you.
Paul, you got anything you want to?
No, ma'am,
Okay, well, if we're not going to do the minutes, we
There's
need
one
a
other
vote, we need a vote to postpone the minutes to September 19th, and we have a motion.
Yes.
Have I got a second?
Second.
Brian seconded. All those in favor?
I,
Aye. So we will do the September 19th minutes.
Just the last procedural thing too is, if there's a way to communicate the Teams link of the committee meetings, that would be helpful. know there
It
there
was
might have been-
online, wasn't it?
Should be.
I
couldn't
saw
find
it.
If there was, I know it was for the previous meeting, but
the video link?
yeah.
Yeah, it was on the agenda that he published.
Elisa it didn't get put on the meeting, so I can make sure that you're right. It's not, because it should be a link.
Oh, I
right
see what
under
you're saying
this.
there. Okay, yep. Good point.
Because usually when you go to the town website, anytime there's a meeting,
There's a link.
yeah, there's usually a meeting, but I definitely see what you're saying. There isn't the link in here.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can note that down for sure and make sure they know that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's why no one's on it.
That's definitely a possibility.
I got a question. Do you know, is that class 6 road, has it been used for like snowmobiling last year?
No.
Oh,
I'm not sure you can
Yeah,
even
okay.
get there officially by snowmobile. Or any actual snowmobile trails that get you in that area, I don't think.
well, they have the other class roads that are being contested by, the Pat Farms.
Yeah.
And then, and if you look, they
It's slightly
supposedly
different.
look like they interconnect, but they're all class 6 roads, so I don't even know how
Yeah.
passable any of them are.
There was a time when you could take a snowmobile.
Right.
As Kurt was mentioning.
Yeah.
There was also a time when it was a walkable trail. And it's not.
It's not anymore. Okay, I didn't think it was. From what I saw, I'm like,
Kevin, do we know when the town took this for taxes?
In the papers that are here. So I need to check. See if I have that. So. Just folder.
I don't think I ever saw that in anything I got.
I highlighted something or wrote something down. I just don't know if that was exactly.
Okay, the police town report or not. Usually, no, I don't think they list. The deed would show it. The septic card. It would have the date and the town required it.
Probate notice.
The tax card, the tax,
Good idea.
let Julie give you access. Cut anybody off.
I think we need to, I think it's one of the things we need to know, isn't it?
Would it be May 26th? Would that be this technical sale date? Because it would have been changed ownership, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I would say it would be the sale date at 5/26/21.
So they.
But don't quote me, that's just my guess. I mean,
No, but that's really good to know because, yeah,
so I guess the town's had it for 3 years. 2 years, sorry, yeah.
well, and that's gonna make a difference. On the agenda is a link for Microsoft Teams.
Apparently, the agenda wasn't posted on the website.
And
Yeah, normally it's put on that one little spot, but I know Elisa was chasing other meetings around because things are getting changed. Because we won't have a town hall much longer. So we gotta move all those meetings out and get new ones in and. Yeah, I would say it'd be the May one, cause I don't see anything else on.
Well, the lease on the Shaker property starts January 1st, so we still got a month and a half. Thinking about moving the library. That's incredible. They did get into the vault and then they couldn't get back in. They were having a terrible time. It's just, you know. Well,
Tonight we were supposed to meet with recreation and conservation, right?
yes.
And we didn't.
And we didn't.
What do we want to do about that?
I think we'll wait till Mr. Morris gets back from Texas.
I know that the Recreation Commission, there was one that couldn't make it because he's a soccer coach. And I think the one that was supposed to come in place, one of their children has COVID.
Oh, well, we're glad he didn't then.
So, and she hasn't been at work the past 2 days, so I'm pretty sure she probably might also.
I'm surprised that Dr. Tice wasn't here because he sat here and we told him when the meeting was going to be and he's generally right on it. He's still chair, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kevin, do you know what the room availability is for meetings? You know what the room availability
For
is?
this one,
Yes.
I don't.
Are you done? Okay, so
Oh.
there's not like a posted.
No, Elisa does DPW and town hall stuff. I do all the other facility rentals.
Well, ZBA meets here the second Tuesday. We meet here. And select board meets Mondays, right?
First and third Monday.
First and third Monday.
First and third Monday is select board.
Right.
ZBA is, there is a list on,
It's all right.
no, that's a different one. There is a list on the website of when meetings happen.
Oh, so you can see it there though, right?
Yeah, everything, all meetings are right here.
So can you look at, I'm gonna make a proposal, if November 8th is available, a Wednesday,
Planning board's in here from 6:30 and Elisa does them for 2 hours. So they will have the room from 6:30 to 8:30, but we meet at 5:30. So as long as we stick it to an hour.
how about Thursday, just the next day, the 9th?
budget committee.
Did anyone see this email? Barbara Jones is trying to get into the Zoom meeting or this. Something else. There's a lady waiting to be let in. The public, I guess.
Well, I asked at one
Um,
point,
She's waiting to be let
If
in.
you look at the Tuesday, what would it be, the 24th, October 24th? What I'm trying to do is come up with a meeting that we
I
can
don't think
have
anyone
take
watched
place
the
on the
game on-
election day.
It was like an hour ago. Was it really?
Oops.
I'll reply. Unless you don't, I'll just,
Yeah, I didn't get the,
I see where you're going.
Yeah,
This-
maybe the Tuesday, October 24th, rather than November 7th, we meet and we have the rec commission and
Developer,
basically the meeting we're supposed to have today. Or all
this
three,
meeting plus the developer.
plus the developer.
So we have three
There we go.
parties we still haven't talked to. Developer,
I think
we don't
October
have
24th
a-
available.
like I said, we don't have a date where this has to be done. So we can push it out.
But
Like-
I'm looking at pushing it forward to the 24th, October 24th. So it would still be a Tuesday.
So you have MFAC at 3:30 and then the energy committee at 6. But there is absolutely nothing on the 23rd, absolutely nothing on the 31st.
Why don't we have a meeting on the 31st? Supposed to be, oh, we
Only
only,
the first and third.
first and third. So I make a motion that we meet on October 31st.
Halloween,
That's Halloween.
it's fine.
I don't
I
care.
mean, it doesn't.
Well, I
It's
have
fine.
trick or treaters, my dragonflies in.
Does the town of Enfield do it on Halloween?
No, trunk or treat is the weekend before, isn't it? They call it trunk or treat.
28th.
Yeah. I know that.
Enfield
Yeah.
Town.
Each town does it different.
That's November.
It's October 30th.
Yeah, I just clicked this to try to get that one last thing to go away,
Um,
because it's not that good and it stinks.
October 23rd looks good. I think I can do October 23rd. Oh, I won't be here October 23rd, but that doesn't matter.
I say we just, I mean, we can push things back. I mean, we don't have an end date when this needs to be decided on.
No, it means we'll be meeting in January.
So that's how long it takes us to make a decision. I think it's, I don't think pushing and rushing to get a decision by the select board is necessarily,
Well, I think they said they wanted us done because of the town warrant. We can't go much beyond the first week of January because of getting things we want on the warrant. Which has to be done by February. It was one of the reasons we stopped at the end of December. Because getting things on the warrant, that's graven in stone.
Push it back or we can find a different date that we, you know,
I think we go October 17th and
so. Was that?
heck is,
You said the 23rd was a Monday, that had nothing, right?
we could do the 23rd, couldn't we?
Yeah, I propose we have a meeting on October 23rd with the
Recreation,
Recreation Commissions, Conservation Commissions, and the developer.
yeah,
Anybody second?
Second.
in favor? Come on,
Aye.
everybody, aye. Both hands, aye, Jason?
Checking your schedule.
I am, yes.
Yeah. okay.
I should
Monday,
probably do that.
I won't be here on the 23rd.
The 23rd, you can't?
No, I'm going to the Museum of Fine Arts. And I won't be back in town until 6:30 at Dartmouth Coach, so.
Oh,
I would almost suggest, I mean, with these two committees, if we're having what was the list? I think I saw the list of everyone that needs to come. I mean, I don't see an issue of just maybe squeezing them in other places. I mean, they don't need to both be on the same day. So I think honestly, on one day you could have the Recreation Commission and then another day we could have the other ones. So then I just think everyone should be present. And if you did it, if you really want to get into it, we could invite the Recreation Commission October 17th, which would then continue with this. And we could invite them. They already have a meeting that night. We can move their meeting from town hall up to here into this room directly after this meeting. And you would then have everyone from the Recreation Commission here present because our meeting is happening in this room.
It's logical. That's logical.
And then you're not adding extra meeting dates. We can squeeze Conservation Commission in with another group, which I thought there was a
We've got,
list of,
October 17th is Master Planning Task Force and Upper Valley Land Trust. And I think we could ask Mr. Kelleher to come to that. Conservation and Recreation, maybe we put that with the public meeting. Or maybe
why couldn't Kelleher's come on the public meeting and give his opinion?
he could.
And then you're not trying to fit
I
him
like
in.
that. That makes a lot of
That
sense.
makes a lot of sense. Then the public would hear it.
I brought that up an hour ago. I think
I heard you, that's why I used it again, so I was like, I like what Ryan said, he can come to, I mean, he is the public.
yeah.
What are we
Right.
gonna do about election day? Is that going to not be a meeting?
I don't think it should be a meeting. I think,
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know what everyone else thinks, but I don't know.
I
Do we
think
need
it's
to
a
be-
bad day to do it.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. I think that we wouldn't have a meeting on November 7th and on November 21st. Why don't we ask Conservation and Recreation to come to the public meeting? And we ask Mr. Kelleher to come on October 17th.
cause I believe he could wait till public meeting. I think we need to hear from the committees and have them have a certain time and lay out a time and to ask them questions.
Is just go with the schedule for October 17th. What are we gonna do about Conservation and
Well, I
Recreation?
think Kevin was saying we could add Recreation Commission to the 17th, right?
Yep.
If they're willing to move over from
because-
council here,
Well, I mean,
if they're feeling fine with that.
I don't think they'll have an issue because a lot of them actually live closer to here than town hall.
Okay.
So, I don't think you'd have a problem getting them here. Plus, their meeting is directly after this, so. If this meeting goes longer and goes into when their meeting, I mean, technically, if you have two Recreation Commission people here, they have to start a meeting because they have a quorum.
Okay.
So you have to remember that when we're inviting these groups, if they meet a quorum, they actually have to start their meeting before we can start talking to them.
That's fine. Let's do that. Yeah. So.
Yeah, so, I mean,
That's okay.
I don't think the Recreation Commission people in that would be upset at all,
Yeah, I mean,
knowing they could come here and spew what they gotta say, and then they get a cut early and not have to stay for their meeting later. They're
what are
not
we
gonna
do about
come.
Conservation?
What time is their normal meeting?
They are at 6:30 on Tuesdays, so every third Tuesday that we have this, they have a meeting directly after this at 6:30. So if they're already planning on meeting, they'd be here. It would just be us that would
Where
have to
are
stay
they
a little.
meeting tonight?
They're not meeting tonight. It's the
Oh, they-
first Tuesday.
Oh, yeah, we're normally till 7, that's why I was asking.
Yeah, and we have this room technically till 7:30 because we have it for 2 hours.
Oh, okay. I second that for the 17th,
And then you could have your,
developer on the 21st.
yeah,
Okay, that's all right. I'll tell Rob. You wanna have? Rob's out haying today.
Conservation, do we even need to meet with the Conservation Commission?
I think we were tasked with doing it as a.
When does
Yeah,
conservation?
Yeah,
meet?
select board says we have to meet with,
Oh,
recreation, conservation, master planning task force. All the groups we're meeting with, the select board says we have to meet.
Maybe conservation could come on the 17th. That would make a longer meeting, but we'd be done. I don't think the land trust will take very long.
I don't think recreation will take very long, because I know those people and they want to just be done and over with. That's why I was like, you could throw them at the end of someone who's gonna be here with two, and they would be. We'll still get at the same time if Recreation Commission presents, because they're not. They don't dwell a lot unless there's a lot of questions, and then you'll get those.
What about conservation?
people gonna,
Do we wanna put conservation at the public meeting? No, you're right.
No, they were town board.
Well,
They were
well,
town-
so here's where I'm kind of complexed. Because when we have a public meeting, Ed has already stated that the public meeting, there should be one in person and one online. And there's only one scheduled.
Oh,
So-
really?
Yeah.
Where did you get that?
So on the end of the minutes that were posted, after last meeting, on the bottom, October 3rd, Conservation Commission, Recreation Commission, October 17th, Master Planning Task Force, Upper Valley Land Trust, November 7th, Election Day, which in parentheses, after possible reschedule of public meeting. November 21st, public meeting, 5th deliberation, 19th review and finalized recommendation.
Yeah, that's
so
what's
why
in front
not,
of me.
why not the fifth, we could do Conservation Commission on the fifth. And then we deliberate, because the deliberation is just in the committee to discuss what we would like to make for a recommendation, right?
Well, if
To start the
conservation
discussion.
came for the beginning of the meeting on December 5th and then left.
Yeah.
Yep.
That would work. That work?
I will our obligations to the select board.
Yeah,
I would almost push the public meeting to the 5th. Make it the online public meeting on December 5th. Because that's gonna be quick, easy, done. There's not usually a lot of people on it. After the public meeting, that's when we go into a deliberation meeting. Do the deliberation, then our next one is review and finalize recommendation.
where we put conservation?
I would put them on the 21st. Well, you're wanting to put them on the 5th
Well,
of December.
if we have 50 people at the public meeting and Dr. Tice is here,
Yeah, do the public meeting on the 5th. Oh, I see what you're saying. I'm still used to there being two public meetings, so it looks like there's only one. I don't know how. But it does look like Ed, in the last minutes, wanted November 7th to be rescheduled. So I think in looking at this, I don't think there's any way you're gonna get everything in by December 19th.
Well, you're saying we have to have two public meetings? Is that what?
Well, usually for the property use, we do an online one. And then do an in-person one, because you can't do both of them at the same time. It gets complicated.
That doesn't have to be a quorum of us here in person
For what?
for the online meeting. How does that work with us?
So the online meeting, how we did it last time is we had our quorum in the room. And then we just had
Okay.
online up here, and we kind of, anyone
That's the
that
way to
came, we
do it.
ignored them. Not ignoring you guys, but we ignored everyone that was in the room, and all we did as the committee was focus
Answer
on
questions.
this. Which, to be completely honest, when we did it for Johnson Property, which had a lot more questions, we only probably talked to people online for like 20 minutes.
So we do that on the 5th, do the conservation and then deliberation on the 5th December.
That would be
Set
fine with
20
me.
minutes or less.
So I think that's what I was kind of thinking
Yeah,
is
that
do the
makes sense.
public,
Mhm.
let them then talk after public and then
That makes sense.
shut. People can be in the room when we're deliberating because they're allowed to be. And they just have to sit back here and listen to us and they can't interject or say anything because they've already had.
Can they wear face paint or t-shirts that are?
Heck yeah, I'd love that. This front row said Enfield on their
Standard
chest.
Okay, so we'll add that also for the fifth.
So, okay, I'm gonna just put it in the notes. So deliberation, conservation,
Online public.
online public on the fifth,
Yeah.
21st.
But put it in a different order. Online public, conservation, deliberation.
And then the 21st in-person public meeting.
Yes,
Yes.
That one will move to the community building, so if we get a big group.
and we'll ask for Mr. Kelleher to come to the meeting on the
And I will
21st.
make sure that we have availability on that day, so no one.
You think we have to meet at the community building instead of here?
Yeah, 'cause I mean, if you get 20 people, there's not 20 chairs, I don't think you can fit.
We got lots of chairs. Whatever is fine. Although maybe if we advertise it at the community building, more people will come, and the more people that come, the more information we have.
There's a lot of chairs here.
I think we have no option but putting it up here, because the Lionesses have their pie sale on the 21st, and you do not mess with the pie sale.
Okay, well, cheers.
But the pie sale's in the morning.
But they could sell a lot of pies.
No, they're
might sell
doing
some more pies.
2 days of pie sales, 21st and 22nd, and the 21st is from 3 PM to 8 PM.
Oh, well, we can't meet there.
Yeah.
You know, we can meet at the museum. Actually, we can't. November 21st, it's closed.
Let's just have it here.
Yeah, I think
We'll be fine here. It'll work.
I don't think you're gonna have the same interests as you do with the other property.
Doesn't have the word beach in it.
You know, we really,
The Valley News hasn't picked this one up yet.
Right.
it has been evaluated. That's what I originally found out about.
Our town manager wasn't quoted saying something about green beans and a beach. If you actually read the first article about the beach, they may use a quote from Ed about green beans and the beach. It's hilarious. Anyways, it's beside the point.
So we're thinking 21st here.
Yeah.
And then 17th recreation will come here.
Yeah.
17th of October.
Yep, and I can reach out to them and
Okay,
see how they feel. I don't feel they'll have an issue at all.
it's a plan.
But I've kind of already said what they said, so like I said, it's gonna be quick, because they're gonna, unless we have questions. But now that I kind of told you what it is, you guys can maybe think of questions for them and.
It all goes back to money.
And I think the Conservation Commission really understood and heard people from the last one where Johnson property, we've added so many recreation things to the town in recent that it's gonna start costing us money. And so they're just trying to think of ways where we can add recreation, stay on to the way what the planning commission, the master plan, that's what I meant. Cause the master plan's strong for recreation, so they're like, we don't wanna give up land if we can add it to recreation. But we also, I mean, they all live in town and they're like, well, we don't want our taxes to go up a ton because we have this property to take care of, this property, that property. And I think the trails that they were talking about developing, it's not necessarily walking trails, it's more like biking trails. Because I mean, yeah, you can go through the forest, clear out a little spot for biking trails. But if they're not good biking trails, they're not gonna be used. You're not gonna have people riding them. So they're like, we don't wanna put money into something if it's not gonna be used, then I fully kind of agree as a biker. I don't like riding boring trails.
Yeah.
Through the
100
forest.
acres is not that much for them.
No, it's not.
It really isn't. That doesn't make, it isn't.
Yeah.
It's, no. You'd be bored.
You get a Boy Scout troop and you bushwhack. That's a volunteer army.
Yep.
It doesn't cost anything. You get
Eagle
a
Scout.
couple merit badges out of it. Yeah, the Eagle Scout project out of it, you know?
But does, you know, cross country and snowshoeing and hiking will probably all be good.
So, does somebody want to put in motion for our upcoming meetings to approve what we've suggested? So I can put them in the minutes that we
I'll
discussed
put a
them,
motion in that.
voted on them, and we've agreed and will. Do we want to nominate? I will nominate me or Ed to reach out to those two committees to see if those dates work.
That'd be
Can we
good.
put that in there too?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, so I think I can,
We need a motion. Somebody
Yeah.
needs this.
I motion that we accept the revised agenda as stated.
and that,
Oh, that's good. I like that.
and add, that Ed Morris or Recreation Director Kevin Marker will reach out to them to make sure
Yes,
that it works.
yes, exactly, as stated.
Perfect. Do anyone want to second it?
I'll second.
Okay,
And that we will invite Mr. Kelleher to the November 21st meeting. That should be in there too.
Yes, Ed's the one that would do that, I believe. Or I don't know who does that.
Ed Morris has done it before.
Okay.
He's done all that organizing and inviting and
Right, that's what I'm.
all I was told yesterday was that he wouldn't be here. And then he told me that, and I was worrying about the minutes, and he said, no, Kevin's gonna take the minutes. And I thought, thank God. I thank Kevin. Cause I don't know how to record on my laptop.
minutes is easy. You just pull up the last minutes and basically just go in and start deleting things out and saying, like where it says this motion was done, you just change who the name was and then change what the motion was. It's really,
Oh, is that how you do it?
that's how Ed does it. That's how Ed taught me to do it. That's all I'm doing right now. It's just
Okay.
Be
changing the
dangerous
old
stuff.
minutes.
I
Yeah.
don't know how to record on my laptop. I'm a Luddite. The chair will entertain a motion to adjourn pretty soon.
I'm waiting for him to stop typing.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, go ahead. You're fine. I'll just keep it in my head and.
No, type it. I'll collect the name tags though.
Or you can do that.
Rob has made a really fancy one for Ed Morris. And he offered it to me this afternoon and I said, no, he's not gonna be there.
Second the motion to adjourn.
Oh, good. Who made it? Do you move that we adjourn?
Yes, I do.
Who seconded
And
the?
You don't need a second.
No, who seconded the schedule?
I did.
Motion to adjourn doesn't need a second. All those in favor?
I.
Aye. Anybody opposed? To going home and having supper?
It's 56.
Thank you all. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, thank you.
If you want to, I don't know if Ed's gonna get to it. If you wanna shoot me those emails,